So over the last couple of weeks, a lot of my homies have been hitting me up and telling me, JT, the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to three-peat this year. And I always ask them, why do you feel this way? And they say, JT, look how they are winning these games. They barely beat the Carolina Panthers. They got lucky against the Raiders and the Denver Broncos. They are not a good team. And here's what a lot of people get wrong about the Kansas City Chiefs. You cannot judge this team and how far they're going to go in the playoffs based off what they do in the regular season. Remember last year, they were worse last season than what they were this season. They get into the wild card round and they run the table. They beat the Miami Dolphins. They go on the road, kick the Bills' ass. They smash Lamar Jackson, the Ravens in the AFC Championship, and they end up somehow, some way finding a way to win the Super Bowl despite them not playing their best football during the regular season. You see, with Kansas City, they are a team that they don't really take the regular season seriously. They just do enough to get by. When the playoffs comes around, however, that's when they flip that switch and they play their best football, because you want to play your best football during the month of January, because that's when it matters the most. When Patrick Mahomes has to step up and make big plays and play good football, he does it in the biggest moments when it matters the most, which is in the playoffs. Legends are made in the playoffs for a reason. That's always been the saying. Why do you think Eli Manning's going to be in the Hall of Fame? Because he's always played great football in the playoffs. Same thing with Tom Brady. The Chiefs are not a team that you can judge how good they're going to be in the postseason based off what they do in the regular season, because they are obviously a way different team come playoff time than what they are in the regular season. You are going to see a different Chiefs team come playoff time than what you're seeing right now, when there's a possibility that they get Hollywood Brown back. Hollywood Brown with Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. Remember, Travis Kelce was washed during last year's regular season. He was a far cry from the player that we've seen so many years in his prime. But come playoff time, he was making all kinds of crazy plays, going off for big performances. The Chiefs are just one of those teams that it doesn't matter what they do in the regular season, because you got to look at the bigger picture with certain things. Certain things are not about the moment. Certain things are about playing for a bigger goal. And the Chiefs, they don't care about dominating in the regular season. They just want to win enough to get to the playoffs, maybe get home field advantage, and that's all they care about. They care about playing their best football when it matters the most, which is the postseason. That's all that should really matter. And right now, there's not a single team in the AFC that I trust to knock off Kansas City in the playoffs. Do you trust the Buffalo Bills to do it? I don't. They failed countless times. Why should this be any differently? You keep telling yourself this is the year that the Bills can finally do it. This is the year that the Ravens can finally do it. We've been saying this for the last 2-3 years about these squads, and yet they still have been unable to do it. The only quarterback right now that has a postseason win against Patrick Mahomes is not going to make it to the playoffs, and that is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the Patrick Mahomes stopper. He is the only active quarterback that has played Mahomes tough in the postseason. The only quarterback that has beaten Mahomes in the postseason has been Tom Brady. Do you know that Kansas City, since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback, has been to the AFC Championship every single season? Every year, they're guaranteed to be one game shy of making it to the Super Bowl. That is just a different level of dominance. Patrick Mahomes is similar to what Michael Jordan was with the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. The only time teams won the NBA Finals during the 90s was when Michael Jordan retired. He retired, played baseball, went golfing, and came back and won 3 more after he won 3 the first time before he retired. That's how dominant Michael Jordan was. There were a lot of good players like Karl Malone, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, who were unable to win championships because of how dominant Michael Jordan was as a player. Patrick Mahomes could go down being the greatest quarterback of all time with several Super Bowl rings, and yet Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen are some of the greatest quarterback talents ever, and yet they could be ringless because they can't get past Patrick Mahomes. You feel me? That's why I kind of feel like it's a little bit disrespectful to count out Kansas City. You got to give this team the respect they deserve. You can't judge them by what they do in the regular season. We've seen plenty of teams dominate the regular season like the Cowboys do and always come up shy in the postseason. I'd rather a team struggle in the regular season and play their best football come playoff time, because that's when it matters the most. And I really don't see any team being able to stop the Chiefs from three-peating this year, or at least keeping them from making it to the Super Bowl. Maybe the Lions can stop Kansas City. Maybe the Eagles could do it in a rematch. But I don't trust the Ravens, the Bills, and I definitely don't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers. When has a Mike Tomlin defense ever shut down an elite quarterback in the playoffs? It's never happened. At least not in the last 14 years that I've been a Steelers fan, this happened. You know, I still have nightmares of Tom Brady ripping apart Mike Tomlin's defenses. Look, as much as I don't want to see the Chiefs three-peat this year, I've just already come to the reality that it's going to happen. Because you're better off betting on them winning than betting against them. Because you just really don't know who's going to be able to knock them off. I understand where a lot of you come from with the mindset that Kansas City, they can't win it all every year. I understand that. You would think they would have a few years when they aren't as dominant. But even when they aren't as good, they still find ways to at least get a step close to the Super Bowl. You know, like when they've lost in the AFC Championship, it was to either Tom Brady or Joe Burrow. That was it. So no matter how bad their season is, the fact that, you know, they can always come every single season, one game shy of making it to the Super Bowl, shows you that the Chiefs deserve the benefit of a doubt. It doesn't matter how they look in the regular season. You just have to tell yourself that once they get to the playoffs, this is going to be a different team. And they deserve that. Because look at what they've done every single year. You know, I remember I betted with one of my homies $100 that the Chiefs were going to beat Miami. He really thought that the Chiefs were going to lose to the Miami Dolphins. And then he lost another $50 again, thinking that the Ravens were going to be able to beat Kansas City. He thought that Baltimore was going to blow out Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And look how that turned out. You know, the Chiefs are just one of those teams that you just can't count out. And they are the perfect example of, you know, that metaphor people have. If you have a billionaire mindset, you could go broke, but with your mindset, you could still get it all back. That's Kansas City. They have the true heart of a champion. They could be the worst team in the NFL in certain games and still find ways to get to the Super Bowl just because of their mentality. They just know how to win. They don't always win pretty, but the NFL isn't college football. It's not about style points. It's about winning. And Kansas City still has arguably the best record in the NFL up there with the Lions. And no matter how ugly they win, a win is a win in today's NFL, and that's all that matters. We've seen the Chiefs beat good teams. We've seen them beat bad teams. The only team they lost to are the Buffalo Bills. But the Buffalo Bills always seem to have Mahomes and the Chiefs number in the regular season. But come playoff time, though, they're never able to get it done. So I get where y'all come from with the mindset that they can't win it every year, but they kind of can. You kind of have to give them that benefit of a doubt. The fact that they always come a game short of making it to the Super Bowl if they don't make it shows you how good this team is. The Chiefs are a machine. They're a conveyor belt. Their mentality, their strategy, the way they go about, you know, managing the season. I'd rather bet on Kansas City winning it all than betting against them winning it all, because it just isn't a smart investment. You rather lose money betting against the Chiefs or lose money betting on the Chiefs. I'd rather lose money betting on one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history.